I just bought a ton more XRP. Why? Long story short, I believe that right now is the best moment for me to do so. Right now, as we speak, they're going after Cardano, Solana, and Matic. If you guys do not remember, a little bit earlier today, I was telling you that the entire situation with the crypto market is just absolutely insane. And one of those things that was announced this morning was that Robinhood is thinking of delisting multiple different cryptos, including the three that I just mentioned: Cardano, Solana, and Matic. Anyway, when taking a look at the crypto markets, one thing we notice is that even though Bitcoin, or basically almost the entire crypto market, didn't crash, some of the coins affected by either Robinhood or by the allegation are not in the best of positions. And there's three things to mention. We've got ourselves that ADA Matic group that is indeed not doing so well. We've also got BNB that's not doing well at all. 5% down over the last hour, 8% over the day. And then we also had Coinbase stock, which went down like 20% in a day. However, again, that's more of an institutional play. So a lot of major institutions like ARK Invest were just ready to buy the freaking living crap out of that dip. And even though the same thing happened for Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., it can't really properly happen for Cardano, Matic, and Solana, nor can it for BNB because of the situation that they're in. They're a lot less big, and people are a lot more skeptical that they might follow the route that XRP has also gone on, which is one of the major reasons I decided to make a video about it. I, as of this point, am more bullish on Ripple getting crazy amounts of support, XRP being properly supported by a lot of institutional investors the moment that this is all cleared. Because right now, two things. One, Coinbase got sued by the SEC, which basically means right now the SEC, like I said in my previous video, has to respond to whether or not they want to make rules. But second of all, Coinbase tried to mint 130,000 NFTs, as you guys have probably seen. They're minting even more right now as we speak. But it's showcasing the amount of people that are not standing by what the SEC is doing. So even though a lot of people have come out to say, this is the purge of crypto, at the end of the day, for Ripple, that was already being purged, that was already being attacked, these are all like little bullish hints. I can't call it negative, really. What I did find pretty interesting in the midst of this all, like I said, Cardano, Matic, Solana are not in the best of positions. I'm still holding all three. I'm still holding BNB. I'm not selling anything because I'm not that afraid. The reason I opened a tiny short position on Bitcoin earlier was just to be safe. And again, we have to emphasize here, tiny. In this, tiny things matter too. No, but in all seriousness, you have to understand that there was a chance for the entirety of the crypto market to come collapsing down. And it actually still could happen, which is why I will keep the short position open with a stop loss above $28,500 or something like that, just to be safe, just to be certain of things not coming to crash down. If I lose this money, if it goes to my stop loss, that's completely fine, because you have to understand, if you've set up your portfolio correctly, you should every day be making money on the crypto that you've already got. If you're not making money on it, you're doing something wrong. But pretty soon I hope to release a series of videos of sorts to educate you guys all on DeFi and how to actually make money with it. Because if you're not making 20% a year or so right now as we speak, you might be doing something wrong, but that's for a different day. So the position here, I keep it open, the short, to kind of combat the loss in revenue that you're getting from these crypto prices being down. And it's kind of as a hedge for if crypto were to fall like crazy. Point being, Cardano Foundation denies security charges against Cardano. At the end of the day, oh, what happened? That was a very manly sting, you know, because anyway, what I wanted to say is I think Cardano and a lot of these companies will have to follow the same path as Ripple. The only problem is these companies are not being sued directly. It's going through Binance and through Coinbase, which is rather annoying because that way they can't properly defend themselves as of this point. But as we've already read, there could very well be another couple of complaints, for example, from the Department of Justice against one of these companies to basically escalate the situation. And it could very well be so that as of some point here, more spearheads come out of the dark to explain that this is just wrong, right? Because right now, we've already seen a couple of senators, but not nearly enough, state that the Gensler should get out of his position and that it should be reformed, but this has to escalate a little bit more. And so from that perspective, I am not against even more cases being brought on by the SEC, because that means we have more collective power. The more pressure the SEC puts on us as a crypto community, the more we're willing to basically fight to survive, I reckon. Little side note, by the way, for anybody, if you've not pressed that like button yet, I'm waiting. I'm giving you like a couple seconds here to press it. It doesn't give you anything in return, but it puts a smile on my face. So if that has any value to you, smiling, then make sure you press that button. That's all I'm about to say on that. On a completely different field, because I want to talk a little bit more about XRP in just a second, but let me tell you guys about what Chainlink is doing. It's another crypto that I'm extremely bullish on, and they just announced something that I think was pretty cool. For a situation like the one we're in right now, it's especially ballsy to basically get this out in this type of time. Chainlink is working with Swift and more than a dozen major financial institutions on experiments to enable connectivity to and interoperability across public and private blockchains. These experiments are a significant step forward from the biggest financial players across the globe to link the world of traditional finance to blockchains. As banks endeavor to access multiple blockchains, by Sergey Nazarov explains, a common connectivity layer across the various chains will be a critical building block for their adoption of on-chain finance. And yeah, you can already understand just how huge this is as a concept and how huge this is for Chainlink. We've been screaming for a good while that Chainlink is extremely undervalued, but that would be too much talking about the token. I think more so as a project, they're very underrated, very, very much so. Now, I must admit there are many other coins that are still very much underrated. IOTA, HBAR, XDC, QNT. And actually, let me know down below if there's one token you're thinking of that's still underrated and deserves some attention. I must say one more thing. If you think that the SEC, the United States SEC, suing an exchange like Binance US or Coinbase would actually spell the end for crypto in any capacity, if that was your thinking process before, please realize how small the US is and plays a role for the entirety of crypto. Look at XRP. It's almost completely banned in the US, yet they're still a top 10 crypto. I mean, that shows you how little relevance they've got. It's mostly for once the institutional is allowed to properly, from that field, they're quite important, or at least can be very beneficial. So you'd rather have them included, but they're not essential. And one of the things which you can read right there is the moment the SEC struck down, DeFi went crazy, because at the end of the day, like I said, no exchange is holy. Before we had Mt. Gox a couple years back, 10 years ago, it went down. The biggest exchange went down. It was crazy. Then we had Binance a little while later, 3 years later or so, 4 years later. Well, if it were to go down, it would be sucky for the crypto market for a bit, but it'd survive and it'd get back up there eventually. It would just take a little bit of time. But at the end of the day, crypto and exchanges, well, they don't necessarily have to always be in perfect harmony, because there's always decentralized exchanges and there's always ways to store and buy crypto that does not rely on any centralized exchange. In that same field, Coinbase is right now saying, hey, we're going to get the job done. We're going to get some words out of the SEC, which is beautiful. Because again, more and more people fighting the SEC means more and more chance that Ripple will win. And again, guys, I'm buying a ton of XRP right now as we speak. I'm not saying you should do the same. I'm just letting you know that I've stacked up on XRP like a madman recently. I've also been looking at Jim Cramer, and I don't know what's going on with him. He says, I've had it with Coinbase, and I don't get me started on Binance. And also, while I'm no fan about the way Coinbase has conducted itself, I am shocked that the Justice Department has avoided going after Binance, which is people acknowledging it is like SBF. What? So again, because Jim Cramer says all this stuff, we're good, we're perfectly healthy. Because always Jim Cramer is wrong, it seems. Brad Garlinghouse said perhaps they're doing it, and they're doing it this way, talking about the SEC's approach to crypto, because they're afraid of their FTX mess up. And so right now they'd rather be like, let's spray everywhere. Just a little bit like that, to make sure that they, first of all, don't make the same mistake twice. I personally think it's more of a payback because, well, a lot of these politicians got a crazy amount of money through FTX. It's been blocked because of Binance, so this is a little bit of payback. And also, what's the benefit for the SEC to keep them around, right? If his friends, so to speak, don't like him, get rid of him. I must also add yet again that as of this point, I do not think Ripple is willing to settle for any less than the freaking cake. And what I mean with that is, with the way the SEC has now decided to battle against crypto. At first, it was, we at the SEC think Ripple is yada, yada, yada. And the judge was completely in the dark because there's only been a couple of cases that were kind of vague that had ended before her period started. Now, because of everything that's happening, there might be a little bit more time necessary to fix the whole Ripple debacle, even though I personally think the SEC has given up on Ripple and is trying to quickly get some sort of lawsuits in before the verdict is over. That's what I'm thinking, because after Ripple's verdict is out, they might not have the best shot at making these allegations without properly disclosing what the rules are. So I'm reckoning that the SEC wants to quickly get this out the way now that the rules are still kind of vague and they can still get away with it. Point being, I think that because of the way the SEC has now started attacking, that there's almost no more way that Ripple is, going to make it easy for the SEC and just give up, and give up means they settle on something that's not optimal. I'm thinking Ripple is in such a powerful position. William Himmon documents coming out just after the SEC did something stupid, just after the SEC did something double stupid by suing Coinbase after Coinbase asked them to make proper rules, which the court was so confused by, and so the SEC has 7 days to respond. This is a week before some major turmoil in the markets. As you guys know, FOMC and inflation numbers are coming out next week. It's going to be pretty crazy. Understand that right now, as we speak, there's almost no proper way for a crypto to come into existence or for an exchange to operate, and the SEC is now going to notice. As I said earlier in my previous video, they made a crucial mistake. But for XRP, I think this is one of the most bullish things that's ever come out. I'm personally, if I could, I'd just buy the entire market cap up. That's how bullish I am. But unfortunately, I barely don't have enough liquidity. Unfortunately, XRP right now, $27.5 billion. I could scrape by, a couple of dollars left to right, but probably not 27.5 billion. So I'm going to keep some XRP out there for you guys. As I said before, I think a wave of FOMO is going to start pretty far in. I think the moment that we cross $1 somewhere around those levels, we're going to see initial waves of FOMO, with heavy waves of FOMO being even further away. At $2, I think people are just going to go insanely, just insano style, and it could even happen before the case is settled. All it takes is a little bit of a as I said, FOMO effect. Because you got to realize XRP is extremely undervalued from where they are. If you consider that a lot of different cryptos are now going to get into the same position as XRP has been in for a good while. And that is going to lead, I think, to XRP relatively being undervalued for where all the other cryptos are going to be. And so we're either going to see a massive collapse of a lot of other cryptos like Cardano, Matic, Solana, etc., or relative an XRP heavy boost. And I'm speculating that that's going to be happening. But yeah, not financial advice, just my own thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, I'm happy. I'm very happy that you did. I will say yet again, make sure you put that notification bell on, because what if the Ripple lawsuit is over tomorrow? What if something crazy happens tomorrow? You want to be notified, because sometimes I go live as soon as something crazy happens, and I say you can always ignore it, but at least you want to see that some news comes out. So put the notification bell on. See you guys again in another video later today, probably.